Hey guys, so today I'm going to do a review of the sequel to The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn trilogy, and that is the Well of Ascension, the second book in the Mistborn trilogy by Sanderson. I'm going to tell you right now that if you have not read The Final Empire, and watching my video review of it does not count, if you have not read The Final Empire, then stop this video right now, because there's literally no way that I can do this review without spoiling the entire first book for you. Literally, the first things that I'm going to say about this book completely ruins everything about the first book right off the bat, and I don't want to do that, especially if you have any interest in reading this series at all. I know that kind of cuts out a lot of people from being able to watch this video, but whatever, it doesn't matter. If you have not read The Final Empire and you have any desire to read the series whatsoever, then you need to stop this video right now, exit out of it, and come back later after you've read The Final Empire. If you haven't watched my review on The Final Empire yet, then you can go do that right now and see if it's something that you'd be interested in, and then you can read it and then watch this video. But for right now, do not watch this, because I swear you will regret it if you decide to read the trilogy at some point, and I don't want to be responsible for spoiling the entirety of the first book for you right now. Alright, so if you haven't exited out yet and you haven't read The Final Empire, then you need to, okay? Good, because I'm about to start. You ready? Okay. I'm assuming everybody is gone now that hasn't read The Final Empire. So if you've read The Final Empire and you haven't read The Well of Ascension yet, and that's what the point of this video is to give you some idea of what the second book of the series is all about, what happens after the end of The Final Empire. It's been about a year since the events of The Final Empire. They've accomplished something that no one ever thought possible. Vin defeated the Lord Ruler. She killed him. She defeated the god of this world, Rashek, the man who killed the original hero of ages, Alendi, and ended his reign over the Empire, his 1,000-year reign over it. Now the city is in control of a new king, Ellen Venture. With Vin at his side, he takes control of the city Luthadel, and he forms a new government that allows a group of elected assemblymen to vote on what the government does. He is given Ska the right to be a part of the assembly, and rights in general. They are no longer slaves. But Ellen isn't exactly king material, at least not yet. He lacks the authoritative effect, the drive that he needs, and people aren't taking him as seriously as the people that support him would like. On top of that, there are a lot of much bigger problems to deal with, and without the stable control of Ellen as king, everything just seems like it might fall apart. The Lord Ruler's coveted ATM supply is nowhere to be found. Every tyrant in the Empire believes it to be in Luthadel, but they haven't found it yet, and several armies have come to claim Luthadel for themselves. First, Ellen's father, Straff Venture, and an army of 50,000 men have come, along with a sort of crazy guy who is actually Straff's son, Ellen's half-brother, his secret Mistborn son, named Zane, who is, like I said, kind of crazy and sort of believes that God is speaking to him, telling him to kill everyone that he sees, especially his father. Zane begins to make a sort of connection with Vin in hopes that she'll see things the way he does. They have been used as weapons by the people that claim to care about them, and that she'll join him and they can be the great Mistborn that they were born to be. There's another army, one belonging to a guy named Lord Ashweather Set from the Western Dominance, that shows up right behind Straff's army, kind of creating a standoff between the three opposing forces, until a third army comes along, one with a sort of twist to it, one that they are even more afraid of than the other two, and for good reason. The vast majority of the book is Ellen, Vin, their council, and their city trying to figure out what to do as winter is quickly approaching, and they can't last for very long with all of this happening, because on top of all of this, the mists have started acting strange. They've started coming out during the day, and the terraceman ferrochemist Sazed fears that the mist may be turning dangerous, and Vin fears this as well. Vin fears that killing the Lord Ruler has set in motion something that they cannot stop and don't understand. His last words ring in her head that they have no idea what he's done for them, and that they're all doomed by killing him. Vin is desperate to try and figure out what he meant by this, while she and Sazed also try to figure out what the ancient prophecy predicting the coming of the hero of ages really meant, who the hero was supposed to be, and what is the Well of Ascension. What happened 1,000 years ago at the Well of Ascension when the Lord Ruler took control, and what's going to happen now that he's gone. Though it was a tyrannical rule, things seem to have gone to hell since they killed him. He kept control of the Empire, and now that he's gone, no one really knows what to do. Many people of Luthadel have created this sort of new religion surrounding Kelsier, the survivor of Hathsin, who became a martyr for the people in the city, a martyr for people to rally around. The Church of the Survivor, and its center is built around the belief that they'll be saved by who they call the Lady Heir, the pupil and protege of Kelsier, Vin, who is very uncomfortable with the idea of people worshipping her and looking up to her in this way. It's just a massive story with so much stuff going on. A lot more that I can even begin to explain, and just an epic sequel to an already great story. A quote in the front of this book actually says, "This entertaining read will especially please those who always wanted to know what happened after the good guys won," which is just extremely true. They have to clean up the mess that's just been created, and it's not going to be easy. This was just such a long book, 763 pages of story, and I just loved every second of it. I think the main complaint that I've seen from people regarding this book is how long it is, and that they see it as being overly long. And I can understand that. Really, the only criticism I have is towards some of Brandon Sanderson's writing, where he has this bad habit of kind of explaining things over and over again that have already been explained to us, and it's just kind of unnecessary to explain to us again. If he cut all of that out of the book, it probably would have been a lot shorter. Other than that, I really wouldn't take away anything from the story itself. I loved reading about everything that happened. A lot of the time is spent trying to resolve the conflicts between all of the armies having this standoff, but it's just so much more than that. We really get to connect with Elend and Vin, and we get to see into their thought processes and into their relationship. I mean, I love their relationship. It is just really incredibly written. It's unique. It's not over the top at all. It's not overly dramatic at all. It feels extremely natural and just develops in such a great way, in just a really realistic way. I really did miss Kelsier in this book a lot, but we got to learn about so much of the other characters that kind of made up for it. We get to learn about Dachshund and Ham, and a whole lot about Breeze. We see into his mind a little bit, actually, and we learn that there's just a lot more to him than originally meets the eye. We learn a whole lot about Sazed and his fearochemistry, and he's just one of my new favorite characters ever. We learn about his beliefs and his past, and the history of the Terrace people and the Keepers. We meet a new character, a Terrace woman named Tindwyl, who has a very, very strange relationship with Sazed, and is mainly there to train Elend to become a more proper king, a endeavor that she mostly finds hopeless. We get to learn more about the Kandra that originally in the first book took over Lord Renuk, who took over Kelsier's body when Kelsier died, whose name is Orsir, and he is just an extremely interesting character. The Kandra are just an extremely interesting form of creature. He has lots of great things to say, and we just learn a lot about him because he has been attached to Vin through this thing that the Kandra have called the Contract, which was set up by Kelsier for Vin. The dynamic between Elend and his father, the dynamics between Vin and Zane, just all of the tension that builds between everybody and that builds around everything that's going on is just so satisfying to read about. Everything falls into place in such a great way. There are so many twists and turns and mysteries to figure out, to explore with it throughout the entirety of it. And like I said, I just loved it so much the entire time I was reading it. I couldn't put it down most of the time. I love how completely different the story is from the first book. It is a completely different kind of story, and we just get to follow around so many different characters. We get to learn a whole much more about this world and about the Mistborn and about Allomancy in general, and about every other creature that exists within this place. It's a great second book in this trilogy and a great lead into the third one, which I'm reading now, The Hero of Ages. I mean, it's 5 out of 5 stars. If you read The Final Empire and you haven't read this, what are you waiting for? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I really hope the people that have read The Final Empire got to learn a lot more about the Well of Ascension, and you feel motivated to get into it now and to finish the series, because it is great and I really love it. I'm already loving the third one. I'm not that far into it, but I'm already loving it. It seems like it's going to be a completely different story than the other two as well, and I really like that about this trilogy. Each book feels really different. Each book is really unique, and I really think you should definitely give the entire series a chance since you've already read the first one. And anyway, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the review, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon.